All right, welcome to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today's guest is Chris Brown, engineer of impact and builder of legacy. Chris Brown is a Kentucky-born engineer turned entrepreneur who's making waves, quite literally. As a franchise owner of the British Swim School of North Lexington, Chris brings a rare combination of analytical precision and purpose-driven leadership to the mission of water safety. A lean Six Sigma black belt and continuous improvement leader with over 20 years in manufacturing world, Chris holds a BS in chemical engineering from the University of Kentucky and an MBA from the University of Louisville. But it was fatherhood that transformed his trajectory. Motivated by a desire to protect his children and give back to his community, Chris left the corporate world to lead a franchise dedicated to saving lives through survival-based swim instruction. Now he's using everything he's learned in process optimization and systems thinking to build a business that's not just profitable, but purposeful. So welcome to the show, Chris. Hey, man.
Hey, Drew. Good to be here.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, I actually got in touch with you through the local chamber here. My kids, we are a swim family. I have four kids. All of them swim. The older kids have I suppose, have swam since they were 6 or 7. The chlorine-laden pool is a very close part of our life. Um, so, welcome to the show. Now, you start out as a chemical engineer, and now you find yourself swimming. So, tell me how you make a journey from chemical engineering to swimming.
Yeah, so as you mentioned in the intro, I started out in manufacturing right out of school, out of UK. Um, Stuck with that for a few years and really enjoyed it. I learned a lot through that process, but I decided that I wanted to use those skills to something that was a little bit more purposeful for the community. That was one thing that I felt like was missing from manufacturing is it was very cold. It was separated from my community, and so this was just an opportunity for me to do something I felt like was a little bit more worthwhile.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I made helicopters and aircraft for 20 years myself, and
Very nice.
it was a great mission. I super enjoyed the mission, but leaving that world, I had a very small network because you're kind of focused on these problems that you're fighting every day. So, was it your kids? You have two kids. Actually, you have twin girls, right?
I've got twin girls. Yeah, they're 6 now, and that is the major reason that I got into this. They were 4 at the time, and we were actually getting them into swim lessons in Danville, where we live, and just seeing them go through that journey, begin to pick up those skills, and to see how if they didn't know how to swim and they fell into the water, there was a real risk there. So
I
that's what started me thinking about
Yeah, I remember when my youngest, who's now in 4th grade, I remember when she was probably about 6 that she really started swimming, and I remember because we were on the pool all the time, and I remember kind of that ball of stress, like, always having to watch her even in the baby pool, right? Like, so she's a little four-year-old, and she can fall over in the baby pool, which is only a couple feet deep, but you only need a couple feet.
That's all you need. And drowning is tough. It's a silent killer. You could have somebody who drowns, and the person watching them never knows. They could think that they're playing. They could think that they're just, going underwater. You really need to have those survival skills in your toolbox in order to, make sure that.
Yeah, I would when my boys were under 3 probably. We went to a friend's house, his name was Brad, he was kind of a mentor of mine, and they had a really nice in-ground, pool at their house, and,
Mhm.
Nathaniel just got super excited, and he just took off for the water and just, like
Yeah.
ran, like, kinda like kids do run off
No fear.
the couch, no fear, and, like, I was in clothes, and I just, like, jumped in there and grabbed a hold of him, right,
Mhm.
I just barely missed my phone because it was in my pocket. I was like, "Ah, this is back when, cell phones were not waterproof." Yeah. So, okay, so you're there, you decided, "Hey, I think I wanna make this jump," but you had the
Mhm.
career. Now were you able to put away some money? Did you get a private backer? Is your wife currently funding you? How were you able to make the transition?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story the way that I approached that aspect of it, the financial side. So there is such a thing called a rollover for business startup, and it allows you to tap into a previous retirement fund if you have one of those in order to invest into a business. So there is a
Ah,
lot of stuff that you have to go through, but that seemed like really the best option for me at the time because I wasn't looking at a very high interest rate. At the time, I think it was something like 14% for small business loans. And to compare that versus even a great year in the market, or a couple of years on the market, I felt like that was still just a better decision. Now, that being said, it still keeps me up at night to think about, hey, I had this retirement fund that's dropped quite a bit, moving that money into the business. But the ultimate goal, again, is to build a profitable business and really one that impacts the
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, with the tariffs going, I think that you may have had a pretty decent decision.
community. Yeah.
Okay, so you're now. Is this a seasonal business or is this a year-round business?
So we do it year round, and the advantage of what we do, we have pools that are on the inside. Very rarely do we look at outside pools just for that reason. There is a seasonality impact to it, so we do see the enrollments drop off during the year as we go into the fall and winter time. But we do have people who stay with us all year round.
Gotcha. So I guess in my mind, when we were initially talking, I had in my mind that you do safety training, which is like teaching little kids to turn over and to swim. Do you guys do that? Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the foundation of everything we do. It is starts with survival. We want to make sure that the kids have the skills to save themselves if they were to fall into the pool. We also do a lot with the parents to make sure that they understand the risks involved with swimming, the potential drowning risks, and how do they play into that as well. So we have something called the Water Watcher program. You had mentioned the story with jumping into the pool. We
Hmm.
actually go through with our parents. We kind of give them this goofy badge that they can wear, but the idea is that if you have a get together, for instance, and the pool is open for the kids, you have one dedicated water watcher. And that person is always watching the water, making sure that everybody is safe. If they want to go inside and talk to somebody, have a drink, whatever the case, then they've got to hand that off to the next person who now is the designated water watcher. So think of it like a designated driver. We want to make sure that people are safe in the water as well.
I love that. So I grew up in Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout. As part of that, you have to go through the Life Saving Merit Badge, which means you have to spend quite a few months on the beach every time the rest of the troop wants to go out there. You're watching each other. My kids are now lifeguards certified through I think the Y or something here locally,
Mhm.
and but the funnest party I ever went to when all the kids were little, the family's house that we went to, they hired a lifeguard. They just one of the kids in the youth
Oh,
group,
yeah.
and they hired a water watcher. I mean, literally hired a lifeguard. And I think that's the only time I've been around a pool at a non like publicly funded thing where I
Mhm.
was actually comfortable, especially when my kids were little. But okay, so water watching, I love it. So if you're listening now and you haven't thought about that, you should make your own badge. Reach out to Chris and get a badge, uh, and
Free of
make sure,
charge, we'll take care of you.
yeah, get because the when I go home, the rest of my family, all my nieces and nephews are feral, like delightfully feral. Like they're fantastic. I absolutely love them. They're great kids, respectful, all that stuff. But they are like into it. Like whatever it is, they are knee deep. And yeah, it's good to have that conversation. It's, hey, who's watching these kids? Because a lot of times that fell to Andrea and I. Because
Mhm.
anyway, that's just what it worked. Okay, so but you commented that you seem folks stay with you for a while. So you do more than just safety then.
Yeah, we start with safety because it's the foundation of everything we do. But past the survival skills that we teach the kids, we begin right after that into stroke development. So it is a full program. We make sure that if the kids want to learn that and they stick with us, they're going to become first safer swimmers, and then they're going to become strong swimmers. So we really do focus on that with everyone. We obviously focus on the kids, and that's what we're going to be talking about quite a bit here. But we can also talk about some of our other outreaches. We have several adults who swim with us. We have what we call our dolphin program, which are our special needs and special abilities kids
Oh,
and
good.
or
Yeah.
adults. And we really have a big focus on that, especially within the autism. And I would love to talk about that, at some point during our conversation.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's very cool that you do this special needs work. Our church has this thing called Jesus Prom, in which
Mhm.
they,
Oh yeah, yeah, I've heard of this.
yeah, yeah, and it's actually it's like kind of like nationally known now. But it's a night
Mhm.
just for folks with special needs, and everybody they get to dress up, and it's just a giant prom. It's just a party, and everybody's
Yeah.
assigned a buddy, and yeah, it's the whole evening. Anyway, I get to work it every year. It's one of the highlights of my year is seeing, making sure that everybody gets a chance to experience the best that life has to offer. So
Absolutely.
I love that you have that special needs program. That's cool because the water is so much fun. I love the water.
Mhm.
So,
Water's Yeah, and the autism community specifically are 160 times more likely to drown than the general population. There's a natural
mm,
curiosity of the water. So, believe it or not, the autism community is the only one to where drowning is the number one leading cause of death. Full stop. Not accidental, not within a certain age, just period. It is the largest cause of death. So it's really something that is core to who I am and who I want to be in this business is trying to help that.
awesome. So, do you do competitive swimming as well? I realize that may be a legacy thing. It takes a while to build that clientele. But do you guys do like, hey, if you want to be a better swimmer, we're a swim coach type of a thing?
So we do have a, non-competitive swim team that we do. You're exactly correct. We don't have enough students to really kick that off yet, but that would be after you move through all of our core programs. You're into what we call Shark 2. That's the final level that we do. Very strong swimmers, really understand all of the strokes. They're able to do flip turns. They're really strong from that perspective. Then we would push them to the non-competitive swim team to prepare for whether it's a swim team at school or whether they just want to continue to be in the pool to perfect their skills. That's what we would.
Well, cool. I wish you the best of luck there. That we've done competitive swim since we were 6, and so that's 12 years now for one
Yeah.
of ours, and it's been a real cool part of our life. You're talking flip turns and all the strokes. Yep, I'm there. I understand. So talk to me about your dolphins. You said that you don't. It's not just safety. It's developing. But talk to me about your dolphins.
Yeah, so that's what we call our special needs, special abilities, adaptive aquatics. It has a couple of different names depending on what we're trying to accomplish there. But basically, we have just anybody who has that special needs focus, we can really focus on them stronger than some of our other general classes. We only allow 2 kids into those classes at a time. So
Okay.
each one of those will only have 2. We want to make sure that we can give them the focus that they need. There are some kids that they might be scared to get in the water completely. With a stranger like myself, they don't want to get in the water at all. So I'm spending a
Mm,
lot trying to teach them about how to get into the water, what they should be looking for. We have some kids that are nonverbal, some that are struggling with cerebral palsy, and so they don't have complete control of their muscles in certain situations. And so there's a lot of kids that need that additional focus, and that's why we have that dolphin program that's much more specific to the individual.
that is a world I hadn't considered. That's cool, man. I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
awesome.
okay, so at what point do you have to get a British accent to be a part of the British swim school?
I'm not sure you want a southeastern Kentucky boy to try to give a British accent. Of course, the name did come from, we started in the UK. I think it was 1982. I might be a little bit off on my years, but it was a woman named Rita Goldberg. She actually just passed away this year, and we're kind of celebrating her life. But she saw a need in her community, same way that we're trying to make a difference here in central Kentucky, and she renovated her basement, started doing swim lessons out of her house. And then years later, it was very popular. She came over to the States, began doing franchising to grow this much more aggressively. And here we are today with over 400 locations. So I'm the first
Cool.
one in Kentucky. 400, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. So I'm a math guy. You're a math guy, right? Engineering background, but you're the first one in Kentucky because that would have been 80 different schools, I guess. No, 8 different schools across the U.S. per state. All right, I'm gonna stop fumbling.
Something in that range, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And Canada is in there as well, so maybe not 100% UK or US.
Yeah. Okay, so talk to me. You had this moment. Was it were you passionate about swim safety and teaching swimming, and then you franchised, or were you passionate about I want to start a job, and then you looked through the franchises and found swimming?
It was a
How did you end up
little
where you're at?
Yeah, great question. I think it was a little bit of both. I knew that I wanted to do something that was more impactful to the community, and that happened around the same time that I was just naturally noticing with my girls getting into swim that this was a need that I didn't really see served, at least in Danville. There was basically one person who was doing swim lessons in Danville, and that was who we sent them to. So it just started me down that process of thinking. And then as I came across British Swim School, it seemed like just, the perfect opportunity. It kind of just fell right into my lap or right into place. And it was just the perfect opportunity.
Cool. Well, what's your favorite? I mean, I'm kind of imagining it's the Dolphins, but what's your favorite part of what you get to do?
So extending it just past the individual classes, Dolphin is definitely high on my list. But I think being able to see the children that come in, or the adults, but we definitely have more children, seeing the kids come in and maybe they don't know as much as they need to at that age. They're starting very fresh, and then to see them grow over time, it's just an amazing thing to see that. I'll tell you one quick story. We have a family that has been with us about a year now. They've stuck with us quite a long time, and they have one of their little boys is in he's in our swimmery class right now, and he went on vacation, fell into the water. Nobody was around. They tried to get to him as quickly as possible, but he used those skills that we've been teaching him. He flipped over on his back. He was able to breathe. He's able to yell for help. And then he made his way over to the side of the pool. And by the time they got to him, he was already getting out. So that kind of a thing just, blows me away whenever it happens. And fortunately, that's only happened the one time, but it's just an amazing story. And that may not have happened. I hope to goodness that it would have. But who knows if he would have been able to do that without, taking formal swim lessons. So I just want to know that we're able to impact people.
Yeah, actually, I have a not in my direct family, but kind of a one generation over. There was a story that did not end well. Exact same story, but it did not end well. And yeah, all my siblings in my family, we were at the pool at Spindletop is the pool that's kind of local here that we go to. So we were at my wife. I was like, it's like a full-time job for you, sweetheart. And she was like putting in the time, like 25 hours a week at the pool with the kids. But my other siblings, not the case. And so they put all of their kids through, I think through the Y, the safety training through the Y. But no, it's a real thing. It's something that you have to think about as a parent. And vacation, new location where you're just not aware of the facilities. You don't know how everything's working. A lot of times there's not a lifeguard on. Yeah, it's a real thing, man.
Yeah, it's scary. And again, that's when I was thinking about my own kids and what could potentially happen with them. It made perfect sense for me to try to do this full time.
Yeah, totally. Well, all right. So here I am. I'm a young parent. I got some young kids. I know I need to do the safety training. Maybe I got one that needs a little bit more. Why should I go? Why should I reach out to Chris instead of just going to the Y or some other places?
Yeah, so we make it a policy. We don't talk poorly about any other swim school. At the end of the day, if you're going to decide between, the Y or Aquatots or one of these other groups and not doing it, go to the other group. I'm completely fine with that. Make sure that your kids have that safety. But what I think stands out with British Swim School versus the other programs, we really push our instructors to have the education that they need to make the difference with the kids. They go through over 40 hours of training before they set foot in the water to do these classes. And so we go through everything and we drill it into them. What are the rules of three that we're focused on? What are the different safety aspects of this? We have huddles each day talking about safety, new kids that are coming in. How do we want to approach it with them? Every child is an individual. We don't see numbers. I'm not looking at, I want to just grow and grow and grow. I want to make sure that these kids are safe. And if we can make it sustainable for the business, that's all I need. I don't need to become a billionaire, swim school mogul or whatever the case. I just want to make sure that I'm saving lives and making a difference.
I'm imagining you at like Trump Tower, with just golden swimming pools everywhere, teaching kids to swim. I love it. No, that's awesome, man. One of the things, I was a chief engineer at a large company for a long time, and a lot of people think that because they are good at something means that they're a professional at it, right? So like, I know how to swim. I'm not an idiot. I would be a great lifeguard. And I love that you're pushing hard, 40 hours of education before they get on the pool deck with the kids, and then daily huddles reminding them. My grandpa used to say, you got to tell them 4 times that their dog needs a rabies shot before they come and ask you if you've ever heard of a rabies shot. And and he was, of course, a veterinarian. And as leaders, we have to constantly tell our people what's most important. And the fact that you do that every day is fantastic. I know, I'm not picking on anybody, but I've been to pools where I feel like there's a little less professionalism in the life-saving department. That's exciting, man.
Yeah, and I guess, if we're thinking about what separates us from some of the other groups, one thing that I really love about our business model is that we work out of hotels and fitness centers. So we can actually go to our customers rather than building one large building that you have to come to. If you're outside of the range, sorry about your luck. We're able to build new pools, or I'm sorry, actually be in new pools, and build the program wherever our customers are. So I really like that aspect as well.
So if I was like Cherry Blossom is a country club near me, so you could do it at
Mhm.
like a country club, like a little small golf course type of a place that just has a couple of feet of water.
Yep, absolutely. All I've really got to look at is what is the rent that I would need to pay for that facility. It's going to be a lot less than building my own facility, from scratch. And as long as I can make those numbers work, I can have very small classes, very dedicated classes, while still making money and still, making the business work.
I love it. All right, magic wand. Chris Brown is 5 years down the road, not quite to the Golden Swimming Pool Plaza yet. Where would you like to see the business go?
So I want to make sure that we are able to touch as many lives as possible. And what that means is for each of our pools, we right now have two pools. I want to make sure that each one of those are filled with students, so we're able to touch as many lives as possible with that. I do have plans to expand a little bit farther. I have, obviously I live in Danville, and so I have some connections in Danville. And I think this would be another location where we could do something really strong with a new pool, a new venture out here. But I'd like to see, two, three, four pools under our brand and be able to really touch as many lives.
I love it. I love it. Well, I wish the best of luck to you in that.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what, over to you. Is there kind of your platform here on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show? What is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
I think the other thing that I'd love to mention is there's an education portion to this that I think is definitely missed, in school and even on the personal side if you're teaching your kids. Kentucky has the largest drowning rate of any of our immediate neighboring states.
Oh gosh.
Hard to believe, right? Because we're in the middle of land. But
Yeah.
Kentucky actually has the second most usable waterfront to Alaska, which is just wild to think about. We have so many um, rivers and lakes and different things where people are enjoying the outdoors with water that
Yeah.
people are killed each year because of drowning, and we don't even think about it. So I've had so many people say, just pick up your kid and throw them in the water. What's the big deal? Well, that's great for the kids that survive it, but the ones that don't feel great about that have a lifelong fear of the water and they never get in it again. So we approach
Mm.
it much differently. We want to make sure the psychology of what the child is going through is spot on so that they
Yeah.
are not terrified of water for the rest of their lives. So that's just kind of what I would say is, we need to do a better job of educating our public about the dangers of drowning and why it is so critical that you get swim lessons. Doesn't have to be with British Swim School. I'd love for it to, and I promise I'm going to work really hard for you. But if it's a decision between not doing swim lessons and doing it with whoever you have available, do it with somebody, please.
I love it. And you're primarily in Danville?
So I live in Danville, but we work out of Lexington. We have Lexington pool and we have a Georgetown pool that we just opened up about a month ago. And
Oh,
then eventually, at some point, we would like to be in Danville.
okay. Well, we'll have to grab a drink or something when you're here in Georgetown. That's where I'm based out of.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I love it. All right. Well, so I'm going to put a little finer tooth to this. Listen, if you're listening, if you're in the greater Lexington area, if you got young kids, reach out to Chris Brown, chris.brown at britishswimschool.com. Chris.brown at britishswimschool.com. Ask him what is right for you. And then he has a little bit of a gift if you tell him that you heard about it here on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. So go out there, keep your kids safe, raise awareness, get yourself a badge to be a water watch, and tell Chris that I sent you. And so with that, we are out.